Hello everyone, it's Darkseeker here again. Welcome back for another video. Now in my last video, I played Fire Pali's Big Rogue. That's the deck that you can see on the right hand side of your screen. And I had so much fun with it. In fact, it was the most fun that I'd had in Hearthstone for quite some time. I had an army of Kel'Thuzads on the board, and the poor warrior that I was facing, he didn't know what to do. He brawled the board away. KT came back, resurrected the board, he brawled again. The KTs survived. I had an army of KTs. I think there were 5 of them in the end that were just wrecking havoc. And of course, it made me very happy because Kel'Thuzad is one of my favourite cards in the game. I mean, just for that battle cry alone. So with my army of 5 KTs, KT's sort of entrance effect, minions, servants, soldiers of the cold dark, obey the call of Kel'Thuzad, was sort of being played by all of these 5 KTs. Just hearing a chorus of that battle cry was absolutely glorious. Anyway, I then decided to look up the original inspiration of Fire Pali's Big Rogue, and that's Dane's Big Rogue. Yes, Dane, I believe, is the one that started this all off. Dane is a wild mode streamer, phenomenal player. Again, if you're interested in wild mode, I would really encourage you to check out Dane's YouTube channel, to check out his Twitch stream. So I look back and I thought I'd have a go playing Dane's deck. Now Dane's Big Rogue deck is different to the Fire Pali deck. The Dane deck only plays it only plays Cheat Death as the secrets, whereas Fire Pali also plays Sudden Betrayal. Now I can see the value of Sudden Betrayal. It can slow an aggro deck down. An aggro deck who charges a minion to your face, but instead of hitting your face, it attacks a neighbouring minion. I can see the value. I guess Dane thought it wasn't needed. The Dane deck also does not play Shiv. Shiv being card draw, I guess, in the Fire Pali deck, bringing you closer to getting your Kobold Illusionist or your, your Barnes. Anyway, Shiv can also be good against aggro in that it can kill 1 health minions. So Dane doesn't play Shiv or Sudden Betrayal. Instead, Dane plays a copy of Shadow Strike, which can kill a minion outright. He also plays Sludge Belcher, which is a really good defensive tool against aggro. Sludge Belcher being known as one of the best taunts in the game because it's a double-layered taunt, very hard to get through. And of course, if you can get a Belcher back to your hand through Cheat Death, if you can get Belchers back onto the board via Sonya, or Belcher through Barnes, or, a double trigger of the Death Rattle via Baron Rivendare, Sludge Belcher can just ruin the day for aggro minions. Of course, on his own, Sludge Belcher is a pretty low impact minion. He's good, but if you look at the more expensive minions in this deck, your Sylvanas, Chromaggus, KT, Rag, Sneeds, Lich King, they are more high impact in terms of their stats and in terms of their effects. But Belcher is really, really good as a defensive minion. Okay, what else is different? The Dane deck plays Chromaggus. Now, this is very, very greedy. However, it can indeed be game winning. When Chromaggus comes down, he has taunt in effect. They throw everything that they have into killing him because he's such a big threat. I mean, he gives you 2 copies of your cards. I mean, that can be pretty insane. So they throw everything in to kill him. So yeah, he's a greedy card, but he does draw the attention of your opponent, and sometimes they invest into killing Chromaggus. The other difference between the Dane deck and the Fire Pally deck is that the Dane deck plays Valera the Hollow, which is, of course, the rogue Death Knight. Now, Valera can be very, very useful. You play her on turn 9. On turn 10, maybe you play a Sludge Belcher, and of course, given Valera's unique ability, you could play a second copy of the Sludge Belcher, 2 Belchers on board on turn 10. Alternatively, after playing Valera, maybe you play Sap, and then you can Sap again. That can buy you a ridiculous amount of tempo when you need it. So Valera's utility there is pretty cool, pretty useful when needed. So the Fire Pally deck versus the Dane deck. You saw the Fire Pally deck in my previous video. Today you are going to see the Dane deck in action. I don't know if this is the latest version of the Dane deck. I know there were some iterations that Dane went through, but this seems like a pretty good version of the deck. As always, you're looking for Barnes on turn 4, a bit like Big Priest to cheat out a big minion. You're looking for the Kobold Illusionists. Those cards are critical, obviously, to cheat out big minions. And looking to control the board. Fan of Knives can help, Sap can help, Eviscerates are good, so are Backstabs, as you then cheat your way into your big minions and then win the game. There are some very cool interactions with your minions and Sonya, so that's always something to watch out for, and you need to time that correctly. Try and get as much value from Sonya as you can, and let's not forget Spirit Singer Umbra, comboed with a Kobold Illusionist, comboed with your other Death Rattle cards. Umbra is a card that should not be underestimated. Her value can be absolutely insane, especially if she cannot be removed. Right, let's have a look then at a couple of games of the Dane Big Rogue deck in action on the Wild Mode ladder. Okay, so we're going up against a Priest, and I have the Kobold Illusionist in hand. That is really, really good. And I'm actually going to dump everything else, because I want Mad Scientist, if possible. Yep, there's a Scientist. Something early that we can play against the Priest. Feels good. Shadow Strike is reasonable, I think. It'll kill something. We don't know what kind of priest it is. Given the recent nerfs, you can assume it's not Ragnaros priest. Shadow Visions doesn't give it away. Different versions of priest play Shadow Visions. But there's a Scientist for us. It's a reasonable body. It'll stop him playing Cleric, because the Cleric just dies to the Scientist and my dagger. And the sooner we get the Illusionist down, the better. There's actually 5 damage on this board. It's going to chip away at his face if he doesn't do anything. Of course, if he's got Shadow Word Pain, both of these are not targets for Shadow Word Pain. You don't want to kill these two because I get a free secret, and you certainly don't want to kill the Illusionist because of, well, who knows what will come out of my hand. So I could play Baron Rivendare, but it becomes a Shadow Word Pain target, and I don't want to give him that. At the moment, if he's got Shadow Word Pain in hand, I just want to keep things super awkward for him. We'll hold Rivendare back. I think there'll be a better moment to use him. This priest doesn't seem to be doing very much. He's happy to sit back. I guess he doesn't feel terribly threatened by what's on my board at the moment. Well, not yet anyway. The minions need to die first for him to feel threatened. Oh, hero power and pass. How interesting. I guess we just play a second Scientist for pressure. If he wants to Dragonfire Potion this board, hey, he's welcome to do so. We'll get 1 secret up, plus we'll get something out of the Illusionist. It's fine. Because actually the damage from these minions is adding up now. interesting. A 1/1 copy of Ragnaros. Now, this is great for us because Potion of Madness is actually pretty useless against Rag. He can't attack with the Rag and kill it off. So now he's faced with quite a difficult situation. Greater Healing Potion buys him time, but that Rag is going to do 8 damage to his face. And we have a secret up, which means if he kills it, I get it back.
Let none survive.
Again, I could play the Rivendare, but there's no point. There's absolutely no point. It becomes a Shadow Word Pain target. And I don't want a copy of Baron Rivendare back in my hand. I'd rather have a Rag or a Sylvanas. But even after Greater Healing Potion, look at the damage that we're putting out here. There's the Shadow Word Pain, okay. But unfortunately for him, Rag comes back to hand, and it's cheaper too. Well, there's my favourite card. There's KT. But late to the party is KT, because this game is over. Die Insect. Feels good. So what was that? Was that Big Priest? I don't know. Right, well then. I'll take the win. Let's move on. And we're facing a hunter here. Once again, very lucky to have Kobold Illusionist in hand. Very lucky to have Mad Scientist. And oh, there's a 3-drop. Which we may not play on turn 3. I mean, Sonya, her usage has to be timed very carefully. But we should be able to put on some pressure here, like in the last game against the Priest. Well, now that's an interesting inclusion. What does that tell me about this hunter? It tells me he's playing a taunt, so he wants to buy time. Which basically tells me it's probably Giant's Hunter, right?
Here we go.
I didn't see another way through that. I could have played the second Scientist, but I'd rather clear the taunt. We're setting up now for Kobold Illusionist.
This beast will not be tamed.
And Stitch Tracker is, yeah, telling me it probably is Giant's Hunter. This could get very messy very, very quickly. Is our deck fast enough to beat his deck? There's the question for you, because once the Giants come down, how do I get rid of them? This deck does not run Vanish. And if there was ever any doubt, it is Giant's Hunter now. Now we know, pretty much.
Come, try your luck. Here we go.
And this is a really cool turn. Our Sonya is hopefully protected now, and we're just going to start a value trade going now with these minions. Whatever he plays, we'll trade them in. We'll get cheap copies of them that we can play. Oh, how interesting. How very interesting. Chromaggus giving us double prep here. And 6 damage to the face. And I'm happy to commit Sonya now. Because what's he going to do? Is this a Naga Sea Witch turn? Does he have it? Yes, he does. Here we go. Here come the Giants. So what have we got? We've got Sonya, we've got a dragon, and we have a kobold facing down some green scaly monster sea witch naga thing plus 2 giants. Okie dokie. This is actually pretty threatening. We need to remove the giants, I think. Oh, that's insane. We have 3 saps in hand. I think I want to pop the illusionist here. That's pretty good. We need to get rid of both giants. They're a nuisance. They hit our face. It hurts. Gotta get rid of them. And we have to kill the Sea Witch. We're not sapping her. Because then you can just play the Sea Witch and the giants all over again. Okay, so this is quite the board now. And that's a buff card in our hand. Well then, what's he gonna do? Does he have another copy of the Sea Witch? Ha! Kill Command on Chromaggus because he feels so threatened by it. This goes back to what I was saying at the start of the video. Chromaggus essentially is a card that has taunt on it. They do everything in their power to kill it once they realise that the value it can give you is disgusting if it's allowed to live for more than 1 turn. It's a bit like Ysera in some ways. The longer it stays on the board, just the more dangerous it becomes, like the Lich King too. I'm going to play around Explosive Trap. It is Explosive Trap. Okay. So my board survives. That's important. Means that we're going to continue whacking his face next turn. So, what do we get? Meh. How does he come back in this game? Playing a board full of giants again, is that enough?
I will not be trifled with.
Well, there's the board full of giants. Now, what does he do here? What can we do here, sorry? Oh, it's just lethal. Let's just show off for a bit. What do we get? We get a giant. Lethal. Yeah, for a moment there I was too preoccupied with thinking about giants. Didn't need to. Okay, so Dane's Big Rogue. Now, it's a good deck. It's a fun deck. Is it tier 1? I don't know. It's situational. Like with the Fire Pally deck, you have to have some luck. In both of those games, I had luck. I had Mad Scientists early. I had Kobold Illusionists early. I had that luck. That luck doesn't always come about. Sometimes you spend the entire game waiting for Kobold Illusionist. It never arrives. So it's a very situational thing with Big Rogue. That to me doesn't make it a tier 1 deck. It makes it maybe a tier 2 deck. Or below, I don't know. The thing is, though, it's fun. That's the most important thing. You know, it's unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. You confuse your opponent. They see secrets. They don't know what to do. They make bad trades. They, you know, they play in a fashion that's sort of panicked because they don't know what's going on. You know, you don't see cards like Kobold Illusionist very often on the ladder. You don't see cards like Sonya. And I have played some games with both of these decks where my opponents have just been utterly confused, particularly with Sudden Betrayal, getting their ordering wrong with attacking, playing a minion first, then attacking second, and then both of their minions die because of Sudden Betrayal. Things like that happen, and it's just glorious to see, taking advantage of players' lack of experience. So Dane's big rogue, yeah, fun deck. I love the inclusion of Sludge Belcher, by the way. You guys didn't see it in this video, but there was a game that I played where Belcher was down the board with Sonya, and basically I just kept getting Belchers and Slimes back to hand, just kept playing them, and my aggro opponent just couldn't kill Sonya, and eventually couldn't fight their way through the army of Sludge Belchers and Slimes. So yeah, Sonya and various cards in this deck, the Illusionist, the Belchers, etc. They just go really well together, and again, it's all about timing, it's all about reading the board, reading what your opponent has left. Can they kill Sonya if you play her now? Do you wait another few turns? There's all sorts of considerations, but what if you've got a secret up? They kill Sonya, she comes back to hand. Again, various things to think about. So, Big Rogue, super duper fun. I will certainly be revisiting Big Rogue in the near future. If you guys would like to take a look at both of the decks, you know, that you've seen me play, the Dane Big Rogue and the Fire Pally Big Rogue, and if you guys have got any suggestions on cards you'd change, cards you'd add, have any of you guys been playing Big Rogue and have decks of your own that you'd like to share? You know, I'd quite like to hear from you. So thank you very much for joining me once again, and I'll see you guys all again very soon for more Wild Mode fun.